For over 3 decades, I have been a true blue gamer. I have played everything from Frogger to Baldur's Gate to well just about every AAA franchise conceived in my generation. In all that time, I've never faced anything like Death Stranding, a game hailed by some as a masterpiece and others utter garbage created by a man who lost touch with reality many moons ago. Personally, I've never been a huge Kojima fan. However, I sort of understood why so many gamers loved him. They're the type of gamer who view games as an expressive art form, to be savoured rather than just a piece of entertainment to be consumed as quickly as possible. Sort of like the difference between a run-of-the-mill Jim Beam bourbon and a 150-year-old single malt that has been brewed by the hands of Scottish virgins. If I was to be totally honest, I was on the fence on whether or not I was going to sink what little spare funds I have into Death Stranding. The marketing made no sense to me at all. In fact, all the marketing did was convince me that Kojima was batshit crazy. However, at the same time, that was the selling point to me. You see, Kojima, for as brilliant as he's hailed to have been, has always had one hand tied behind his back by publishers. However, on this occasion, Sony gave him free rein and open check to unleash his vision onto the world. If there was ever going to be a game that would convince me of Kojima's brilliance, this would be it. After 60 hours of game time, I can finally give my answer, so without any further ado and all the bullshit to one side, sit back and relax, grab a coffee, or cup of tea if that's your preference. Oh, Jim Beam bourbon, that's not a bad shout. Either way, grab your drink of your preference, sit back and relax as I present to you my review of Hideo Kojima's Death Stranding. My reviews are split up into 3 sections. The good, basically what I found to be amazing, the bad being what I found to be unarguably bad, and the ugly, things as a gamer that personally irk me. The hope is that by the end of this review, you'll have enough information to make a decision on whether or not to buy into the franchise. I don't beat around the bush, I tell it like it is. And with that being said, let us start with the good. I would have to be the biggest moron on earth not to start with the obvious one, the graphics. My God, do the graphics look amazing in this game. Everything is beautifully textured, the scenery, even down to the small things like the blades of grass. Everything looks almost untouched by man. It's almost like you could tell there was a civilization there before, but that civilization is long gone. And now there's a new civilization with you coming in, and obviously all the bits and bobs that you're trying to work around with, and some paranormal phenomenon, but we'll get into that in a bit. The graphics are beautifully designed, and credit where credit's due. This is actually in my top 3 best looking games of all time. The other 2 being God of War and Red Dead Redemption 2. It's up there with that as far as beauty is concerned. You've got the picturesque of the countryside that obviously, like I said, is a countryside. And then dotted in around, you've got these futuristic underground civilizations that are either one-man settlements or whole cities underground with just like the entrances popping above ground. You've then got the little things like your generators and your bits and bobs. I was going to say something then that would have spoiled it, but this is a non-spoiler thing. You've got little items that are dotting around which give it that futuristic look to show that there is obviously an advancement in technology, but everything just works well. There's nothing like things like, you know how some games where it's got white writing on a white background and you can't see what it's saying, so you've got to pan round to a dark bit so you can read it. There is nothing like that. Everything just works well. Even down to the map marks and things like that, everything has been almost crafted like a watchmaker makes his finest watch. Everything's, even down to the microscopic details, have been taken care of. And for that, from a graphical point of view, from a purely aesthetic point of view, This game has to be experienced for that. If you love graphics, you've got to get in this world and have a poke about. It is beautiful. The AI design is, I mean, obviously the terrorists are just humans. There's no way of doing around that. But the BT design, the paranormal phenomena, it's like floating humans covered in tar, which they're kind of in this realm, but they're not kind of in this realm until they actually do pop into this realm. And then they look like, you know, they're under tar, and it looks so cool and so professionally done that it blew my mind graphically. The amount of time that has been spent on making sure everything, and I mean everything, look spot on is unreal. There is not, and believe me, I've zoomed right into places to try and find, what do you call it? We got the little pixelated, that's it. Trying to find little pixelated bits where, you know, where they haven't, if you go to Destiny, for instance, and zoom right in on a door handle, every now and then, same with other things like COD and things like that. I'm not just picking on Destiny, just Destiny pops to mind. If you go into the Menagerie on Destiny, zoom right in on some of the items, you'll see pixelated stuff where it isn't quite at the DPI level it should be to stand up to that sort of that's not the right word, but you know what I mean. Scrutiny, stand up to that kind of scrutiny. Whereas this stands up to any level of scrutiny you put it under. And that to me is outstanding. It gets massive ticks as far as graphics concerned. It's probably one of the best graphical games I've ever seen. It's definitely, I say top 3, it's etching for top 2. But I can't really discriminate. It's between Red Dead and this, if I'm honest. God of War was beautiful in a different way, but this is just outstanding. Which then leads me on to the second part, the world and the story. Obviously you've got the graphics which look beautiful, but then it's all about this world building and the story that's in it. Very rarely do I come across a game that tells a story that isn't what you would normally get, if that makes sense. It's not a run-of-the-mill good versus evil story. There's a lot of intricate, fine paths that venture off into a million different areas. It's not a simple case of good versus evil. And the world building that is all around it is just phenomenal. You see little... like you'll walk into an area that's obviously a destroyed city, but it's only the tops of the buildings that you see. So you know something, or you walk into a massive crater and you know something bad's happened. Or you come across the phenomenon known as BTs, or bloody twats as I call them, where they are like ghostly apparitions that are covered in tar. You know that they're your enemy, but that doesn't mean that they're evil. It's all down to this story, and as the story progresses along, it becomes more and more convoluted. It becomes more and more in depth as you work through this game. The story sort of gains its own little perspective, and you start questioning everything. And for me, that is a massive plus. I'm a story whore. I love story. I love lore. It's one of probably the main reasons why I've stuck around Destiny for so long, because I love the lore of it. Death Stranding is no different. It has its own little holy shit moments where you start questioning humanity, and is it really the BTs that are at fault here? Because then it starts going to the science of it as well, where it's antimatter and matter and all this, but I'm not going to spoil it for you, because obviously I don't want to go into spoilers, but the story is superb. Which then, of course, brings me on to the character building. Now, this is a weird one for me, because the voice acting and the character building are sort of both in the same thing. Because every character, even down to the settlement characters, are exceptionally well acted. You can tell it's not phoned in. Sometimes it's just, sorry, my face looks tired. Whereas this isn't. Norman Reedus does a cracking job, obviously, he's a good actor. Mads Mikkelsen is a crazy motherfucker, always has been. Looks like the perfect villain in everything he does, but even then, he's not. You don't know if he's a villain or he isn't, what is actually going on. And it's all down to this story and the characters that Kojima has perfectly built as the story progresses. It's the character building in this game is some of the best I've ever seen, and when the game sort of slows down a bit and you start to think, boring, I'm getting bored. All of a sudden, something happens that I think, oh, now what's all that about? I'd like to know more about that, and that's what keeps the game going, keeps you invested in the game. And for me, that's just brilliant. Another talking point is the gameplay mechanics. Now, this is a bit of a weird one for me because it's a love it or hate it mechanic. And for me, there's things like the walking. Walking in this game is a part of the mechanic. Trying to keep your balance when you're walking, when you're doing your inventory, if you're overloaded, if you're top heavy, you will become unstable, and you've got to press your L2 to shift your weight left, press your R2 to shift your weight right, hold both to try and keep you steady. You're planning your routes and things like that, and everything works really well. And another thing that I like about the mechanics as well is there is no infinite weapon loadout. You know how you get into some games where you've got all your weapons and you can basically pull out a shotgun, then once that's done you pull out an assault rifle, and once that's done you pull out another one, and once that's done you pull out another one. It's not like this. Every mission you go on, every journey you take, you have to decide, right, I'm going from A to B. Within that area, there's a chance I'm going to come across terrorists, so I need to take some anti-terrorist weapons, which fight humans. There's also a chance I might pop into BT, so I need to take some anti-BT weapons, which deal with the anti-BTs. But the problem is the more that you get, the less space you have to carry everything else. And of course, you need to make space for your inventory, what you're actually carrying, which it adds a level of an interesting level to the mechanics, where sometimes you just think, I've got to go with no weapons and just try and be sneaky. It's the only thing I can do, because if I don't, I'm going to be overloaded. I'm not going to be able to make it because it's treacherous ground. So all of a sudden, your inventory matters. Some people are saying this is a downfall about the game. It's not. The inventory is its own little puzzle solving game. This game, its whole game, is a puzzle solver. And there's all sorts of little puzzles that you've got to solve. There's terrain puzzles, there's map puzzles, there's orientation puzzles, there's inventory puzzles. There's all sorts of little puzzles that you've got to solve. And the inventory is just another part of it. For me, it's a really good gameplay mechanic, and I like that sort of thing. The tools are especially something that I like. Some of them are a bit useless, which I'll touch on later, but there's things like your ladders and your rope points and things that I'll not mention now because I don't want to spoil it for you. But you get tools that are very handy for when you're plotting major routes where you've got to go to 3 or 4 places and come back on yourself. And you start thinking about, well, if I start placing this here and here, it's going to make coming back a lot easier. So all of a sudden, you're almost training your cognitive brain. It's almost like brain training for adults. It's amazing. And another thing that is done really well in this game is the different tones. 1 minute you are walking through a beautiful landscape, lovely sunshine, there's some music playing, and it's beautiful. All of a sudden the rain hits, the timefall comes. For those of you who don't know, timefall is another mechanic in the game where they call rain timefall because where rain hits, it makes time speed up. So, for instance, I'm a 35-year-old man. If I stood out in timefall, I would look like an 80-year-old man in 3 seconds flat. But it also damages anything it touches, like your cargo and things. So you've really got to dial in on shit. I've got to watch where I'm going, because if I get into rain, I need to find shelter, because otherwise it's going to damage my cargo. Another mechanic problem that you're going to come across. Another little problem solver. But the tones that you come across when you go into the different areas that are taken over by the mules, that are infested with BTs, it gives different elements. 1 minute you're happy, you're walking around, you're just chilling out looking at the scenery. Next minute you're shitting yourself because you're in BT territory and thinking, oh my god, if I'm going to get caught here, I'm about to get raped. And they've done everything comes in, like the music is piped in, the noises the BT makes are horrifying. They will literally freak you the fuck out. And again, it's done a fantastic job on that. Which then leads me into the last good point of the game, the music. the music, like the music I've added into this review, is all sort of when just the average walking around day-to-day music is like sort of, it's folk rock, low roar and things like that, but it gives like a sort of Scandinavian feel to the game. I touched on this in TGP. The whole game, although it's supposed to be set in America, feels like it's set in Eastern Europe or Greenland or something, Scandinavia, that sort of way. It doesn't have an American feel to it, and the music lends itself to that because it's all sort of Bjorn-esque, and it's a really weird, almost design choice to go that route, because it is a very folk rocky, Mumford and Sons type of music, which lends itself to almost something out of The Sound of Music. But then again, when you're in the BT area or in the Mule area, the music and the sound effects just change to bring you into that area. You know you're in shit, you know that you need to get your adrenaline pumping and think fast to get out of these situations. And that is everything as far as the good is concerned, which now of course leads me on to the bad. Earlier on I touched on the weapons. Once you've unlocked them, there's a lot of weapons to choose from, which are split into two categories. Those that go against the BTs and those that go against the terrorists. The problem is that despite the many different choices you have, 90% of them are fucking useless. And I mean that with the greatest of respect. No, I don't. They're shite, they're crap, they're absolutely useless. The assault rifle only fires so many bullets, and is so hard to handle, it's unreal. The recoil on it is so terrible, you miss 60% of your shots easily. And that's even whilst tap firing. The grenades have such a small area of effect, area of effect, that you've almost got to land them on the target's head for them to make a difference. They don't work. There's two guns in the game. There's the baller for your terrorists and your anti-BT handgun for the BTs. They're the only two you need. It's the only two you ever need to worry about, which makes the rest of them useless. The only way I can see these being patched or sorted out is if Kojima came and did some sort of weapon balancing. But why would he have to? What is the point? I mean, at the end of the day, when you've got two weapons that work perfectly fine, it makes the rest of them redundant. And for me, it's just, I don't know, it could have been a bit more inventive with the weapons. Maybe some beam weapons you could shoot out or something. Been a bit more futuristic with it than some rubber bullet assault rifle or shotguns. I don't know, the weapons just aren't right in this game at all. And of course, the beauty of the weapons, you know, only needing two of them, is the fact that the enemy AI are dumb as biscuits. They are literally... I have known blocks of wood that I would have more reasons to fear than the idiots that I came up against in Death Stranding. I could literally run around in circles and just take out squadrons of the mule terrorists, walk through. When you first play the game, you're quite like apprehensive of the BT area, and it's quite suspenseful and really horrifying. Once you get into the game, you get sort of 7 or 8 hours in, it's less suspenseful with the BTs and more frustrating, because you don't want them to catch you, because then you lose all your bloody cargo, and you've got to go into a fight sequence where you either run away from the idiot BT lion, or you go get your cargo back to fight it. And it's more of an annoyance than it is anything else. So the game kind of does, I don't know, fuck itself in the ass as far as that's concerned. The BTs would have been a lot more scary if the BT lions, or the main boss that pops out if you get caught by them, didn't telegraph his move from 30 miles away. He will literally put his hand up in the air, it will glow yellow a bit, and then he will swipe. but you've got more than 5 or 6 seconds to notice, adjust, aim, and fire to stop it. And to me, why do developers insist on making stupid enemy AI? I mean, seriously, Kojima had an opportunity to make something special with the BTs, something that if you get caught, you are all but fucked. You know, something that it's basically game over if you get caught, unless you are seriously lucky or seriously skillful. But no, it's more like if you get caught, it's just more like a case of, right, how's my baby? Right, it's fine, let's fight this damn thing. Right, where's my luggage? Go get me luggage. Right, let's fight him. Couple of blasts later, a couple of grenades, boom, done. End of. And it's a shame. The AI enemy is definitely a sore point in this game. And that leads me on to the third major problem in this game. The vehicles. Right, okay, so you've got several types of vehicles. You've got technically 3, but one of them isn't a vehicle, it's kind of cool. You've got the bikes, and you've got the trucks, and then you've got the floating carriages. The floating carriages are quite cool because you can stock a shitload of... You can have 2 at a time. You can stock a load of cargo on one and use the other one as like a floating... like a Marty McFly skateboard. And it is kind of cool. I like that one. That's cool. The bike is pretty much okay as long as you keep it on flat ground. It will handle rocks easier than the trucks, obviously. But it's like you can do a permanent wheelie with it. You just pull back and it will just literally pull up a wheelie, and you can just literally ride around as a wheelie permanently. You'll never fall off it. The vehicles just don't feel right at all. They're almost an afterthought, I think, and they need... I'm fairly certain Kojima doesn't have a driving license, because if he did, he would realise that cars don't handle that way. Bikes don't handle that way. The Marty McFly skateboards, yeah, I consider them handling like that all day long. Fucking awesome. But bikes and cars need... to be honest, 9 times out of 10, I don't even bother taking one. I really don't. In this game, you can link up with other players that are playing like these sorts... They call it strands, where you're sort of in a server together, but you're not. You're in your own little world. They can't enter your world, but what they do in their world will affect yours. So if they leave a bike somewhere, it will pop up in your world. And every now and again, you'll see a bike in the wilderness. You think, oh, well, that'll cut 5 minutes off my journey. I'll just jump on that. But 9 times out of 10, I just walk with me power armor, because it's faster. You can go as the crow flies, pretty much, rather than pissing around with the bikes trying to work out the best way to get somewhere with the bike, because the bikes just don't work. And that leads me on to another vehicle problem, which is sort of a vehicle, it's not. It's something you unlock halfway through the game. Now, this is a slight spoiler, but it's not really a spoiler, because it's something you'll never use anyway. You get, once about 20 hours in, you'll unlock a robot delivery service. Now, the idea of these robots is when you get to a place, you can summon robots to make deliveries for you, so you can get more deliveries in, boost up your progression, things like that. I have done it probably 10 times. Never once, not once, has a robot made a delivery where the goods are not damaged less than 85%. I swear the robots kick the fecking deliveries along the floor to its destination rather than carry it. I don't know how they managed to get 8. I've carried antimatter bombs from A to B and done less damage. I just don't understand how the robots do all this damage on really short distances as well. It's not like I'm asking the robot to go across the map. It's really short distances, and I specifically pick out the short distance because that's all they can manage. You pick out anything longer and they don't even make the delivery. It's a pointless system. As something that, if you do get this game, I would tell you just to disregard completely. You might as well do it yourself. But as far as bad's concerned, that's about it, really. For the truly bad stuff, that's about it. But then that leads me on to the ugly stuff. And the ugly stuff is like the bad bit stuff that pisses me off personally. Things like you can make highways in this game, so you can make roads. And the way you make roads is you go to one of your distribution centres, you claim a load of recycled material, which you've earned through doing deliveries or whatever. You put it into the station, and the station makes the road. They cost way too much. Far too much. You're talking 3,000 of each material when you're only making a couple of hundred at a time. It's crazy. You're only getting a short patch of road as well. If you built all the roads in the game, yes, using the vehicles would be 10 times easier, but it would take you 300 hours to do that because they just cost way too much, and I don't see the point in having that in the game at all. Another thing that really irks me is the character names. Although they are well voice acted and they're well put together and they're well acted out and all that sort of stuff, the names are just lazy. I mean, one of them's called Die Hard Man, another one's called Fragile. They're more like nicknames than they are character names, and there's just no thought to them at all. Another ugly point for me, the BB, the bridge baby. You've all seen it in the adverts, the little thing that you carry around. The idea of this bridge baby is that it's supposed to help you detect BTs. But like a companion or like a real baby, it gets distressed, and when it gets distressed, it harms itself because it creates like a toxin which sort of kills it if it gets too stressed. So the problem with it is that it's way too sensitive. The slightest stumble will make the damn thing cry over and over, and you've got to stop what you're doing, press L1, press square to soothe it, start rocking the damn baby just to get it so it's sleeping again, just to shut it up. Because there's nothing worse than hearing the crying over and just because you've stumbled a bit. And it just drives me up the wall. But they're just the ugly things. I mean, there's another couple of things like battery life on some of the objects some of the tools you get are run by batteries, which recharge in sunlight. But there's not a lot of sunlight. It's mostly rain. That's the point of the game, the timefall. Some of them have such short battery life or big battery drain, whichever way you want to look at it. It makes them unusable. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but one of them's a heat pad to use in cold weather. Useless. Don't bother using it. Absolutely pointless. There's also a problem with the button layout at times. The button layouts can be a bit awkward at times, especially. One of the biggest points is if you're in a snowstorm, you can't see jack shit, right? So you need to hold L1 to find where your position is to see where you're going. But at the same time, you're holding L2 and R2, keeping all your rucksack to keep all your cargo straight. So it's really finicky. It's not quite mapped right. I think it needed something else rather than L1 being used for that. Probably one of the direction pads or something. And going back to Baby as well, I think its health goes down far too quick. Way far too quick. I know I've kind of jumped back and forth here a bit, but I'm sort of, as it come to my head. The baby, the bridge baby, it's, when I say like, when it gets distressed, it sort of health goes down and turns into a toxin that kills it once it goes red. It goes down well too quickly. Bear in mind, its health will start going down as soon as it starts detecting BTs. So as soon as it starts detecting BTs, its health is going down. If you're in a prolonged fight with BTs, you've got to stop halfway through. You've got to literally go, excuse me everyone, stop fighting me a second. I just need to soothe the baby. That's not how fights work. You've literally got to go and hide somewhere to soothe the baby to get back in the fight. It's ridiculous. I tell you. It's just, I don't know. These are the little things that irk me as a gamer, and I think if they'd have made Baby's life a little bit more resilient, I think it would have been a better scenario to put in place. But that's it really, and that's all that I can think of as far as bad and ugly. To sum this all up, for all my gripes and problems with Death Stranding, on a whole, I actually really enjoyed it. Yes, there were times where I was bored as fuck, but every time that happened, I was presented with a new problem to solve. As daft as this sounds, every journey you take is different. The terrain, enemies and weather all offer different patterns at different times, which make every journey different. Each journey offers logistical puzzles that you find yourself actively engaging with. As I said earlier, it's almost like a brain training game for adults to increase their cognitive reasoning and deduction skills. There is a lot of room for improvement, granted. But I could say that about every game I play, as no game is perfect. At the start of all this, I wanted to see what was so appealing about a Kojima game. Death Stranding has shown me that Kojima has a way to offer you an experience that no other game has the ability to. And as a gamer who appreciates innovation, I now see why he's loved by millions and hailed as a true gaming visionary. Unfortunately, I cannot get aboard the Kojima love bus, because to me Death Stranding has more art than substance. It's too much in love with itself. I just felt that Kojima spent more time making sure his jokes were in the game than making sure the guns were well balanced, or the vehicles worked, or the robots don't actually destroy your fucking goods whilst en route. Having said that, I strongly believe everyone should experience this game, as within Death Stranding, is proof of what can be made when publishers just back the fuck off and let artists work. Death Stranding is a masterpiece. It is Leonardo's Mona Lisa. It's not perfect, but it doesn't profess to be. Death Stranding is a game that evolves over the time you play it. It grows, it gets a personality, and by the end of it, assuming you get that far, you will appreciate gaming in a whole new way. As always, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for listening to my review. If you've enjoyed it, please leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, hit the I nearly said hit the describe button. No, hit the subscribe button. I've been trying to make it as a trusted YouTube content maker for over 18 months now, and trust me, I would really, really, really appreciate your support. Until next time, everyone, that's all from me, Mr. B. Ta-ta for now.